What's up everyone, Mark here, and welcome back to the Project Lab, where in this episode we're tackling yet another perennial problem for owners of pets with paws. When Twinkle joined our family a couple of years ago, we added a 6-foot vinyl fence to close in the front and rear of the backyard. But gaps under the fence and gates remained a problem. Thankfully, there's an easy solution available that's also DIY friendly. Before we get started, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel if you're interested in this sort of thing and haven't already. I have new videos coming out all the time on all sorts of topics, and if you turn on notifications, you'll never miss when the next one comes out. So curious claws like to dig and explore, and if left to their own devices, your four-legged friend could easily find their way out of the safe confines of your yard. To address that curiosity, consider a fence window to let your pup see what's happening on the other side, or even interact with a friend next door. I've got a whole other video on that which you may want to check out. An info card should be popping up right about now, or you can reference the link down in the description. Now, to take care of the gaps under the fence, I found what turned out to be the perfect solution. The product is called DeFence, and although this video isn't sponsored by any means, I've included a link to their website in the description as well, because I like the product and I think you will too. You can buy directly from them or through sites like Amazon and even Home Depot. They offer a variety of products, but the one I went with is their standard small and medium animal barrier. Made in the USA out of American steel, each section is 32 inches long and 8 inches deep, with 2-inch spacing between the tines. In your case, you may only want or need to install a product like this in a specific area, though in my case, I'm going to be blocking the variable gap under all of the vinyl fencing enclosing the yard. Now, there are any number of ways you can install this product, but I want mine to be secure with a nice, neat, and consistent look, so I've devised this method of installation carefully. In addition to enough of the DeFence product for your job, you're also going to need some clips to attach the top edge to the fence. I chose these nylon clips because they're fairly cheap and strong, and the screws they come with are stainless steel, so they won't rust and stain the fence. To close the gaps under the gates, I'm going to be using some 1x6 PVC trim board fastened with 1.5-inch stainless steel screws, again to prevent staining. I've included a list of all the products and materials used, along with links to them down in the description, but you should be able to find the same or similar products in numerous places online or even at your local hardware store. As far as tools, you're going to need a tape measure, bolt cutters, or alternatively an angle grinder or hacksaw, a Sharpie or permanent marker, a 5-pound sledgehammer, a roughly 3-foot scrap of 2x4, a power drill with a 3/32 drill bit and a Phillips driver bit, and lastly a saw. A speed square is also helpful, though not strictly necessary. Given the depth of the DeFence product and the variable gap under the fence, I've decided to install mine so that it overlaps the bottom rail of the fence by 1 inch all the way around. To get started, I went along the fence marking 1 inch up from the bottom at frequent intervals using a speed square. This will provide a visual guide when installing each section. When you're ready to start the installation, line up the edge of the first section no further than 2 inches from the fence post. Holding the section up against the fence, first make sure it's straight with the horizontal crosspiece facing inward towards the fence. Next, place the 2x4 along the top and carefully but firmly tap with the sledgehammer across its length until the top of the section reaches the markings you made on the fence. Using the 2x4 ensures the section is driven in evenly. DeFence sells special installation tools for this, but I find the scrap 2x4 works just as well and it's free. On the other hand, hammering directly on top of a section will inevitably cause it to bend and deform, so it's important to use something to distribute the force evenly across the entire length as you're driving it in. Each subsequent section should be installed approximately 2 inches from the adjacent one to keep the spacing of the tines consistent. Whenever a section needs to be cut to length, trim using bolt cutters as close to the last tine as possible. As you're installing, you'll invariably encounter a section where one or more tines hit an obstruction on the way down, like a rock or a tree root. This can also be a problem if your fence posts are anchored in concrete, which can come close to the surface and interfere with the first few tines adjacent to the post. The simplest way to address this is to just trim as much as is needed from the particular tines. You should be able to feel which tines are hitting resistance as they go in. Note which tines are getting hung up, then carefully pull up on the section to remove it for trimming. Once trimmed, gently set the tines back into the same holes and continue with the installation. Once all of the sections of DeFence are in, it's time to anchor them to the fence. While not strictly necessary, this step helps to keep the guards in place in looser soils, or in the event a pet or animal does start to dig underneath. For the small to medium-sized DeFence sections, use 1 clip at each of the left and right ends, as well as an additional one between every 5th pair of tines, which works out to 4 clips per full section. Shorter sections will still need clips on the left and right, but the spacing in between may vary depending on the overall length. As a general rule, try not to go more than 5 or 6 tines without a clip for added support. Once the clips are in place, they can be marked, then drilled and screwed securely down. Pre-drilling is important here, otherwise it can be very difficult to get the screws started. If you're working one section at a time, it can be helpful to have 2 drills, one loaded with the drill bit and the second loaded with the driver. This makes the work go considerably faster since you avoid having to frequently switch bits. With the fence gap complete, we can turn our attention to the spaces under the gates. The first step here is going to be to remove any particularly loose rocks or soil from directly below the gate. The goal here is just to make sure there's nothing for the gap filler we're adding to get hung up on while the gate is being opened or closed. Next, measure and cut a length of 1x6 PVC trim board to fit the bottom of your gate. In most cases with vinyl fencing, this will need to sit between the left and right verticals of the gate in order to sit flush against the bottom rail. Once cut, test fit the board to the gate and check for spacing. Don't install the board too low or it will drag on the ground. A small gap is fine. Once placed and marked, pre-drill and screw the board into place using 1.5-inch stainless steel screws to prevent staining. Screws should be about an inch from the top edge of the board, and with my 4-foot gates, I have roughly 4 or 5 screws spaced evenly across the length of the board. I chose this screw length for my vinyl fencing, but depending on the thickness of the material your fence is constructed out of, you may need to use shorter screws to avoid piercing through to the other side of the gate. If digging is still a concern, you can drive sections of dig defense all the way to the ground directly below the bottom edge of the gate as an added measure of protection. Lastly, let's talk about keeping your yard secure. Many gates have these holes in the latch to accommodate a small lock, but in practice, locks are inconvenient. Since the latch is usually installed inside the yard, it doesn't do you any good if you need to enter from the outside. And every time you do want to open the gate from the inside, you'll need to make sure you have the key with you. Instead, I've made these simple chained locking pins out of a small hook, a short length of chain, and 2 quick links. One to attach the hook to the chain, and the other to attach the chain to the latch. Since they attach to the latch, they're never going to get lost. The hook is easy to insert and remove, and the dangling chain is a quick visual indicator from a distance that the gate is unsecured. As an added bonus, the geometry of the hook makes it difficult, though not impossible, to jimmy off the latch from the outside. Again, I've included the parts lists and links for all of the materials used in this video below, but remember, the links are strictly example products and you should still be able to purchase what you need at your local hardware store or online. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed these quick projects, and maybe you're even considering them for your own yard. If so, then I'd appreciate it if you took a second to give the video a thumbs up before you leave, or a thumbs down if you really hated it. I'd also love to hear about your experiences with these sorts of projects, as well as anything you might do differently down in the comments, so don't be shy. One last time, it'd really help out the channel if you'd consider subscribing for new videos like this all the time. It's free, and you can always change your mind. That's all for now, but thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, Twinkle.